Hey guys, what is up? It's Pluto here. This is very unscripted, and you'll probably be able to tell by this video, but I'm kind of back. I'm really enjoying Guilty Gear. Unfortunately, I'm not enjoying May as much as I'd like to, but I am enjoying the game as a whole and playing other characters. With that being said, I know there's a lot of new people coming in, and there are quite a few good YouTube video guides out there about like getting into Guilty Gear, getting into fighting games. But all of them are setting you up for failure in one way or another. They're teaching you how to press buttons and move forward and back and get hit and roll the dice. So I'm essentially going to come here and put on my little, we're going to put on our thinking caps, and I'm going to really show you how offense and defense works in Guilty Gear, like the overall dynamic of it. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of how you should be playing the game, how you should be thinking about interactions. So, for starters, we got our whiteboard up here, right? We're gonna set red as our secondary, and when you're running around, we'll boot up Guilty Gear real quick. So when you're running around playing this game, for the most part, right? Like they're going to block, right? They're blocking forever. You're never gonna hit them. You kill them by hitting them, right? So, the common misconception is, if you're making them block and you're running pressure, that's a great thing. However, if they sit there and they never hit a button and they never get hit because you're just running this over and over again, maybe you're running this over and over again, like their risk is cranked, but you're not really killing them. So, this brings me to our two parts of just playing Guilty Gear in general. You have, we'll boot up the Microsoft Paint again. You have two states you have on defense. You have blocking, and you have doing something. Okay, right? English is my first language. Well, it probably is, but that's besides the point. We have two things. You can either block or you can do something. As we showed, if they just sit there and block all day, like, yeah, it's fun. You get to run pressure, but you're never actually hitting them. So the best way to kill them is to hit them, right? So to incentivize them to not block, right, so we can hit them, we want them to actually do something. Now, you're probably sitting there like, what do you mean we want them to do something? I don't want my opponent to jump. I don't want my opponent to mash or backdash or any of this. I want them to just get hit. The reality of it is they're not just going to get hit. They're going to sit there and block, and they're going to make them do something. So, just to reiterate, when you're on defense, when you're running pressure, your opponent's either going to block or they're going to do something, right? Our goal as the person running offense is to make them stop blocking so we can hit them. Now, the best way to do this is to throw them, right? So if you throw them, this actually just beats blocking, right? If I run up and I'm running my close slash pressure and I'm like, they keep blocking. How do I be blocking? Oh, I can run up and throw them, right? Now that you've been throwing them, they're no longer going to want to sit there and just block all day. They're going to go and do something. You are incentivizing them to do something, right? And now that you have Timmy over here, Timmy's out here sick of taking the throw, so they're going to start doing something. They're probably going to hold up back, right? Or like they're going to jump. Now when they jump, now is your time where you can hit their jump frames, right? So you got 4 frames, 4 pre-jump frames when they try to jump away from the throw. Those are frames that you can hit, right? So now to kind of put this in perspective, right? So I got Timmy out here just blocking, and I'm like, Timmy, dude, stop blocking. I can just do this to beat their block, right? So, nice and easy, right? Nice and easy. I'm sick of you blocking, Timmy. Let me beat your block. Okay? Now Timmy, let's say Timmy doesn't want to get hit anymore. Timmy is so freaking sick of you just running up and trying to beat his block. What is Timmy going to do? Next time I do this, let's actually see. Next time I do that, Timmy is so sick of it. So when I try to throw, he's going to jump, right? Now, in reality, when I whiff that throw, Timmy gets a massive combo, and I die. Especially if I whiff a throw on May, I'm eating like 70% right there. So, that's not what you want, especially when you're running your own offense. You don't want to just whiff this throw and then die. So what can you do? Okay, so now I know Timmy's going to jump, right? I can smell it. I said, Timmy's sick of blocking. Or Timmy is sick of me pulling up and throwing him to beat his block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a frame trap. May has this nice 3-frame gap, so I know it's going to catch his jump. When I go 6H, oh, and now I get a fat combo, right? Because Timmy didn't want to block, right? Timmy did something. He was sick of me throwing him, so he did something. So now that we're back on the whiteboard, we can see you want them to do something because you don't want to run up and throw them. Throwing has a lot of risk involved for a little bit of damage, but what it does do is it incentivizes the opponent to do something. Now, in reality, the opponent's going to have like 3 main options, right, for doing something. So if we go to doing something, right, this is the word something. We have a jump. We have, we'll say a mash. And we'll have a backdash. Backdash. So in general, your jump frames are jump frames 1 through 4. Your mash, you're going to be stuck in that from frames 1 through 5, right? On that 5th frame, your 5P will come out, or whatever your 5-frame button is. Your backdash, you actually aren't punishable until, depending on the character, we're going to say like a normal 5-frame invul backdash, right? So if you don't know this, in Guilty Gear, there's like 3 main backdashes. You can either have a 4-frame invul backdash, a 5-frame invul backdash, or a 6-frame invulnerability backdash. That means like those first 4 to 6 frames of your backdash, you're invulnerable. You can't get hit and you can't get thrown. So we're just gonna say, well, May has a 4-frame backdash, but most characters have a 5, so we're gonna go with a 5-frame. So we'll say frames 1 through 5, you can't hit, right? So you can't hit frames 1 through 5, but 6 through like 20, we'll say is like this pretty standard. Backdash, an average backdash is about 20 frames. So frames 6 through 20, we can punish that backdash. So depending on what they're doing, I'm either trying to hit their pre-jump frames 1 through 4, their mash 1 through 5, when in reality this is, we'll say this is more of 1 through 4, because on that 5th frame you're going to clash with them, right? So you actually want to hit 1 through 4. And then the backdash is frames 6 through 20. Now, you can't really hit all these at the same time, per se. Just speaking naively, like obviously, for you little lab rats out there, yes, we could do like, we could try to hit everybody on the 4th frame and then use a move that's like, has like 3 active frames. Those 3 active frames, and that's 4 plus 3 equals 7. So you're essentially covering frames 4 through 7 by doing like a move that's 3 frames active. Besides the point, little tangent, we're not onto that right now. Got ahead of myself. So I'm going to clean all that up. So we're just going to say that you can either do something to catch their mash or jump, which are frames 1 through 4, or we can target their backdash, which you'll be able to hit on frames 6 through 20. Obviously, right there, that's RPS in itself. And that sucks, but that's something that you have to accept because that's the nature of... RPS is another word for rock, paper, scissors. So it's like rock, paper, scissors, right? Like you have 3 options. You don't really know what your opponent's going to do. Like you throw rock, they might throw scissors, and you kill them. You might throw rock, and they might throw paper, and they get out for free, essentially. Right? So RPS is just the term that we use in the fighting games to say like there are options. There's no like way to just be right all the time. Like you got to roll the dice, you got to guess, you got to play the RPS. Your job is then, once you get them to do something, is to roll the dice, because your reward, if you're right, is like half their health bar, maybe 70% of their health bar. And if you're wrong, like you'll probably eat like a 2K 2D. You might be in like a knockdown. They might get out, but you're not dying for the most part. Right. So just kind of like, cause I just did a bunch of rambling. So just to like go back on everything, Our goal is to make them block. Once we understand they're blocking, we're going to throw them to incentivize them to do something. Now that we've incentivized them to do something, it's time to roll the dice because now we can get big reward. We're either going to target their jump and mash and get that counter hit or just like a normal hit that just leads into big damage, or we're going to target their backdash. Backdash, and if you target the backdash, you get a bunch of damage because they're airborne on their backdash, so it ends up being a massive combo anyways. Right, so it's really up to you to like feel out your opponent and then determine which one you're going to try to catch depending on what they do. If they jump a lot, I would honestly always target jump and mash first because most people are going to jump or mash. Jumping is probably one of the strongest mechanics in Guilty Gear for like defense. Backdash is okay. It's more of like, this is like a meme for the most part. There are times where like backdash is good and your opponent's specifically backdashing you to make you chase their backdash because remember they're on 6 frames like 6 through 20, and the act of making you chase their backdash gives them an option to mash. Right, so that's why I say like you want to start by targeting the jump and mash, and then once you target that, they might start doing a backdash to make you target the backdash so they can jump and mash again, right? So it's like a whole thing. It's a whole give and take. It's like a conversation of sorts between you and your opponent. Now, with this being said, on defense, you don't have to actually like play this game. You can actually be super safe. There's this thing called a fuzzy. Now, this is just a fancy way of saying delay. Right? So there's a thing called a fuzzy jump. Right? So think of that. That's just fuzzy jump is just a delay jump. But for the terminology in fighting games, we just call it a fuzzy. So why do I speak so highly on the fuzzy jump? Well, because what if I told you the fuzzy jump is actually the perfect defense mechanic? Because what you do is if you do blocks with a fuzzy jump, that's a fuzzy jump, you are unthrowable. You are just straight up unthrowable. There is no more RPS. You don't need to play this do something game, right? Like you don't have to play this at all. You just run this and they can't hit you. Why do I say that? What do you mean there's just a mechanic that beats everything? Okay. Right. Good question. Good question. And this is where we're going to get on to this. Let's give us some more space. So, when in Guilty Gear, when you're in block stun or you're waking up, you have 5 frames of throw invul. What this means is for the first 5 frames, whenever you wake up or you're being blocked, you can't actually be thrown. So if I try to do close slash and then throw them, that throw is going to whiff. Why? Because of those 5 frames of throw invul. And then we'll see like if I just whiff throw and throw again, obviously I can do it. Or if I do close slash, wait a second, and then throw, I can throw. Why? Because they don't have any throw invul. But as I said before, you have 5 frames of throw invul on your wake up and when you're blocking. What this means is, well, if I think they're going to throw, I'll block the close slash, wait 4 frames, and then press jump. So this actually beats a lot of things. If I do a fuzzy jump, so if I'm jumping on, essentially, we're jumping on frame 5 is your goal. Well, if we go back and we look, if we do a normal jump, the opponent's targeting frames 1 to 4. If they're trying to target our mash, again, they're targeting frames 1 to 4. If I fuzzy jump, now we'll say if we fuzzy jump, this is actually now on, we'll say if it's done perfectly, it's on frames 5 to 9. And why does that matter? Well, our mash is on frames 1 to 4. Oops. And finally, we have our backdash, right? That's on frames 6 to 20. Well, now we have options on defense, right? We're unthrowable unless the opponent specifically targets our fuzzy jump. So we can sit there and block all day, and we can avoid every throw. And if they try to throw, I mean, we fall down and we counter hit them like we showed before, right? Because they'll whiff a throw above us. On top of that, they specifically have to start delaying to try to call out your fuzzy jump, because frames 5 to 9. What does that mean? That means you have the ability to mash to get out of pressure. You're creating this extra gap in their pressure. And what else is wonderful about the fuzzy jump, this is where it all comes together, is you never, ever, ever have to mash until they hit your fuzzy jump, right? They have to specifically try to call this out. This is because if they don't, they're just going to whiff throws in your face. There's no way to beat a fuzzy jump. You can't throw it, and you can't make them block all day, right? Like, you have to call this out. And when they hit your fuzzy jump, you know they're calling it out, and you know that there's at least a 4 to 5 frame gap, right? So now that you know that there's this 5 frame gap in their pressure, that means you can just start mashing. And now you're just getting out for free because you just get a mash because they're out here trying to call out your fuzzy jump. And until they actually call out your fuzzy jump, you're just unhittable. You can just sit there and block all day. And if they try to throw you, you just hop it, fall down and counter hit them. So just to kind of reiterate on everything, Timmy is going to sit there and block all day, right? That's step one. I ain't going to get hurt if I just block all day. So what are you going to do? You're going to pull up with a throw. And Timmy's going to be like, dude, why are you using this unblockable move on me? I'm sick of this, right? So now Timmy's incentivized to do something. Timmy, big brain Timmy over here, because he watched this video, is not going to try to play this RPS game where he's going to like jump and mash and backdash. He's not going to just guess his life away. He's going to be smart. He's going to pull up with this fuzzy jump. And he's going to be like, now I can block all day and I'm unthrowable. Try to throw me, I'm going to smoke you with this counter hit. I'm going to smoke you, I'm going to do 50%, 60%, 70%. I'm going to laugh and be like, you suck. Why'd you try to throw me? Now we pull up and we're like, Timmy, you freaking doofus, man. Let me just start hitting you on frames 5 to 9. I know this. You're fuzzy jumping. I've seen this before because I watched Pluto's video. Right? Now Timmy's out here. You're smoking his fuzzy jump. Timmy's like, dude, stop it. Starts mashing like a scrub. He starts mashing, and you think he's a scrub, but Timmy knows something. Timmy knows that frames 1 through 5 are open. He can start mashing because you're out here setting frame traps to hit his fuzzy jump. And he knows that because you hit his fuzzy jump, right? And notice how I'm just completely ignoring backdashing, because this is like, again, it's situational. This is a scrub move. You don't want to backdash. Backdashing is like, you only backdash because you want them to catch it, right? Again, so like, your only things you really need to do are fuzzy jump and mash, depending on what they're trying to call out. You can always just block, right? But if they're putting out these large frame traps, mash on them. If they're not putting out any frame traps really, or they're just trying to throw you sometimes, just fuzzy jump. So this really is the most important part of Guilty Gear Strive. Everything, like both defensive and offensively, is based around fuzzy jumping. Fuzzy jumping allows you to block all day and keeps you safe from throws. The opponent, your attacker, has to call out this fuzzy jump or they'll never be able to hit you. And they will. They'll eventually call it out and they're going to get big rewards. But just fuzzy jumping to keep yourself protected from throwing and just from throws while also being able to block, again, makes it so you don't have to do this RPS game where you don't have to guess. You can just be safe from everything. And then once they actually start calling out your fuzzy jump, it gives you time to mash. And that's when you can mash out of their pressure. Anybody you've ever seen in a tournament is always fuzzy jumping. So your game plan when you pull up, you should be like, on defense, you're just going to sit there and block and fuzzy jump. And you're essentially never going to get hit. And then if they try to throw you, because they're getting upset that you're not going to get hit, you get a big reward. Then 2, they start calling out your fuzzy jump. Well, you start mashing because you know there's a gap big enough for you to mash. And then you can just run your pressure again. Or you can just run your pressure on them because they left this massive massive gap that you mashed on and you got a counter hit, right? All that good stuff. So I hope this video was helpful. I'm pretty sure I just reiterated the same thing like 20 times. And I'm going to cut this up and hopefully it won't be a 30-minute video of me rambling. With that being said, have a great one.